I could have cried last night. I took my daughter to the cinema, and we parked up in the local multi-storey car park. And as we were coming out, an elderly gentleman, looked a little bit worse for wear, bless him, came over and asked if we got any money. Says he was homeless. He was like, look, I don't drink alcohol, I don't do drugs. I'm just trying to get enough money to get myself a breakfast in the morning. He says, I go into the local Wetherspoons, I get a breakfast and I get a coffee with that, and I'm allowed unlimited coffees. And he says, I've spoken to the manager and he lets me stay in there all day until 11 o'clock at night. And then he goes up to this multi-storey car park and sleeps there. He says, he's obviously really scared and worried. He says a couple of youths came over to him the other night and broke his glasses and scared him. And he's like, I'm really scared of somebody kicking my head in and whatnot. And, he's telling me about he's working with the DWP, Department for Work and Pensions or something like that. And he's trying to get a room. And I just thought how sad it was. I come back home and I see that the UK have built some floating hotel for these migrants. And, don't get me wrong, I know there's a lot of people in a lot of bad situations. But, this guy, he had a lot about him. He didn't look like he was drinking, didn't look like he was on drugs. He was relatively well kept, bless him. I emptied my pockets and gave him what I had, which, in today's day and age is not a lot because everything's on the card, isn't it? But it just really made me think and really made me sad, that we can't even help our own. You've got people like this, and yet all the hotels are full of migrants and whatever. And I just think it's a really, really sad state of affairs. So if you see one of these guys or girls, try and help them out as best as you can. And I know a lot of people are saying things like, well, they only go and spend it on drugs and alcohol. Can you imagine when you've had a shit day at work or you've had a shit day at the weekend or something like that, the kids have been doing your head in? One of the first things that you do is you go and grab a glass of wine. Now, could you imagine being out on the streets on your own every day? Cold, wet, worried about getting beat up? Of course you would turn to drugs and alcohol. So I think it's a little bit rich to judge people, but it just really made me quite sad. And obviously I don't do majorly serious posts on here a lot of the time. It's taking the piss, but that really hit home. So if you see these guys and girls out and about, try and help them out as best as you can.